Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Eugene. Good afternoon, everyone. It's now my pleasure to introduce Catherine Lugar to you. She's the President and CEO of the American Beverage Association and President of the Board of Directors for the American Beverage Foundation for a Healthy America. Catherine's here to announce the winners of the 2019 Childhood Obesity Prevention Awards. Over the past 7 years, this partnership has allowed the U.S. Conference of Mayors and ABA to award more than $3 million in grants to cities large and small alike. Today, another six cities will share a total of $444,000 in grants to support programs addressing the childhood obesity epidemic in the United States. Today's grants bring our 7-year grand total to $3.1 million. In 2017, Columbia was honored to receive the first place Childhood Obesity Prevention Award with $120,000 in funding to launch our Project Garden Nutrition and Fitness Initiative in our recreation centers. Thank you to the American Beverage Foundation for a Healthy America for your continued support. We look forward to this continuing successful partnership. I will say this before I pass on to Catherine. To our new mayors, this is another wonderful opportunity to continue to bring something back home to show people the value add of being involved in the U.S. Conference of Mayors. So let's see these awards, and certainly next year we want you all applying as well. So again, thank you, Catherine. The stage is yours.
All right, thank you, Mayor Benjamin. Really want to start off by applauding Mayor Benjamin's great commitment to public service and to improving the health of South Carolina through a wide range of programs, some of which have been supported through the very childhood obesity prevention awards that he spoke about. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge what a great honor it is to be in the room with all of you today. I don't have to tell you the work that you do as mayors back at home in your cities really do foster healthy communities through workforce development, environmental initiatives, health and wellness programs, and so much more, and it's critically important. And as I've told many people, your public service hits especially close to my heart and my home, as my father-in-law, who started his public service career as the mayor of Indianapolis back in the 1960s and early 1970s. And I don't think it's going to surprise anybody in this room that his proudest stories of leadership when he talks to our 3 kids are not from his 36 years in the United States Senate. They were from his time as mayor of Indianapolis and turning around a city and revitalizing the public schools and getting folks back to work, right? And as I think hit so close to our hearts earlier this week as we celebrated the life of Martin Luther King, he so proudly told my kids the night before the story of when he walked the streets with Bobby Kennedy, and Indianapolis was one of the very few cities that didn't burn on that tragic day. And so thank you for what you do. Certainly we always talk about, and as the saying goes, all politics is local. And speaking on behalf of what we believe is an iconic industry, we couldn't agree more. The beverage industry is made up of local companies with local employees, and like you, we're immersed in the community. We know and we care about our neighbors. We provide and support great paying jobs that surpass the living wage standards across the country and come with full benefits programs. And that is precisely why our employees stay so long. We care passionately about our planet. We have a long history of leaning in on environmental stewardship, and we're the only industry that has designed its packaging to be 100% recyclable, including the caps. We're there in times when we're needed, in times of tragedy. We're there in times of celebration. And these are all the things that we're committed to. Because at the end of the day, when our communities are stronger, our nation is stronger. And so, working with the U.S. Conference of Mayors, I'm really privileged to present this year's Childhood Obesity Prevention Awards. We are so proud to support the incredible work of mayors who have taken bold steps to address the very complex challenge of obesity in their communities. On behalf of the American Beverage Association, our member companies, and the American Beverage Foundation for a Healthy America, I want to thank Mayor Steve Benjamin and Tom Cochran for their great leadership, as well as all of the mayors who have participated in this innovative grant program over the last 6 years. I also want to take a moment to thank our Mayor's Advisory Council, Mayors Doug Palmer, Wellington Webb, Manny Diaz, Shirley Franklin, for their guidance and counsel on this important partnership. And most importantly, I'm grateful to stand here and celebrate you, right? How you're all making a difference. And to share with you as well how America's leading beverage companies are working together to support your very efforts through the ambitious goal of reducing the amount of sugar that Americans consume from their beverages. By the way, it is not very often that you're going to see Coke, Dr. Pepper, and Pepsi put their competition aside to come together. But when it comes to being a part of meaningful solutions to societal challenges, they do so enthusiastically, with real skin in the game, and through partnerships with stakeholders in public health and government. Because we all know that when we work together, we will get further faster. And we know this firsthand through our work with President Clinton on our national school beverage guidelines, which removed full-calorie soft drinks from all K through 12 schools. These guidelines alone cut beverage calories shipped to schools by 90%. What you may not know is ultimately they served as a basis for the beverage component of USDA's Smart Smacks in schools. I have 3 kids, so it's not lost on me that we know that moms want to be a part of the very real solutions to the public health challenge of obesity. They want our support as they work hard to provide a more balanced lifestyle that fits their family. And we're doing our part to support them by providing more choices, smaller portions, and more beverages with less sugar or 0 sugar. These companies are using their strengths in product and packaging innovation, marketing, and distribution to encourage people who are looking to reduce their sugar to try a beverage in a smaller portion size, or maybe one with less or no sugar at all. The innovation that is underway right now is astounding. If you haven't noticed it, take a minute to look at your grocery aisle the next time you go to the store. It looks nothing like that you saw even just a few years ago, right? The explosion of smaller container sizes, new flavors, waters with bubbles and no bubbles, teas with sweetener or no sweetener at all. The beverage aisle as we know it is being transformed before our very eyes. Whether it's Coke's new introduction of over 6 new flavors of Diet Coke, Pepsi's addition of Gatorade Zero to their portfolio, so there's even more options when looking at a sports drink, or Dr. Pepper's Bai, one of the fastest growing brands in the enhanced water category. In fact, more than half of the beverages purchased today have 0 calories. 63% of beverages, new beverages introduced since 2015, are no calorie, low calorie, or mid-calorie choices. So this effort, I would tell you, is ambitious. It's meaningful. It puts moms like me in the driver's seat, protecting her right to choose what's right for her family and what's best for her family. And these companies are investing significant human and financial resources to make this voluntary effort real and tangible. They're also advancing this initiative as an industry, making Americans aware of the calories in their beverages by putting reminders to balance what you eat, drink, and do at every point of purchase to encourage Americans to consider their choices and pick a beverage that best fits their needs. This helps them use the calorie content information that we put on the front of every can, bottle, and pack. We're giving consumers what they want: clear information with a gentle nudge to reduce their sugar. And we're looking forward to the ongoing innovation that will shape the beverage aisle of tomorrow for what we believe will be many generations to come. So we hope you'll take a moment to learn a little bit more about what we're doing. We have a booth out front. We also have a really vibrant website, balanceus.org. And if you're not already doing so, we hope that you're going to connect with your local bottlers, Coke, Pepsi, Keurig Dr. Pepper, and our other members to see what they're doing and to understand the difference that they're making in your city, as well as what more we can accomplish together. So there are many in this room who have already partnered with us to bring this effort to life in their communities. We hope you'll consider joining us too. So let's get on to the awards. For those of you who are not familiar with the Childhood Obesity Prevention Awards, they really are synergistic to the effort I just talked about, called our Balanced Calories Initiative. Innovation is at the core. The mayors who have received the awards have developed and advanced innovative programs to encourage healthy and balanced lifestyles. And they too are modeling these behaviors. They're eating a balanced diet, learning about the food and beverages we consume, and so much more. With the support of the American Beverage Foundation for a Healthy America, including today's awardees, this program will have awarded more than $3.1 million in grants to 40 cities, representing every region of this great nation. And so with that, it is now time to recognize the 2019 Obesity Childhood Prevention Awards. We're going to start with our second place award winners in each category. Let me make sure that you know each one of these award winners will take home a $25,000 grant for their program. I'm going to ask each of these mayors to stand and to be recognized as I call out their name. So in the small city category, second place recognition goes to Monroe, Louisiana Mayor Jamie Mayo. Mayor Mayo. For his Mayor's Fit Monroe program. This program aims to engage youth aged 6 to 14 to plant school gardens at each city school and to encourage healthy eating by serving fresh fruits and vegetables that are grown. In addition, he has added an after-school physical fitness program to be launched to encourage these youth to walk, run, bike, even skateboard 5 miles a day, under supervision, of course, and to support Saturday programs that focus on nutrition and physical activity. All right, Mayor Mayo, congratulations to you. In the medium city category, recognized for second place is Flint, Michigan, Mayor Karen Weaver. For the Get Fit Flint program to benefit boys and young men through structured mentoring and youth leadership development programming. Fitness, nutrition, and mentoring activities will support up to 100 children through this 36-week program that will also include a series of events to engage residents in their schools, churches, and neighborhoods. Mayor, thank you for your tremendous leadership. All right. And our final second place for the large city category is Madison, Wisconsin Mayor Paul Soglin. Mayor Soglin, where are you? There you have it, Mayor. For his Fit Youth Initiative, better known as FYI, you gotta have an acronym for everything, right? Which engages low-income children, youth, and families in the city, 88% of which qualify for free and reduced lunch. Through this program, formal and less formal recreation opportunities will be offered for either free or a sliding scale. No one will be denied access based on income. And in addition, the successful Garden Fit program will be expanded to other sites across Madison. Thank you, Mayor Soglin, for your great leadership. All right. So let's now move on to our first place award winners. Our top award in the small city category goes to Findlay, Ohio Mayor Lydia Mahalik for her Keep Active, Keep Healthy program. Let's take a look.
Good morning, boys and girls. Good morning. with you. I hear you're going to have an exciting...
The youth in our community are our most precious asset. We wanted to make sure that they knew that we were paying attention and that there were ways that you could take charge of your health.
Our Keep Active, Keep Healthy program, we've started it out in the summertime. We're able to play old school, fun playground type of games. We've had obstacle courses, but we don't want people to just be active in the summertime. The wintertime is a very big challenge to keep people active. The weather doesn't play nice all the time. There's not a lot of activities that you can do outside when it's snowing or freezing rain.
This funding that we're receiving will actually enable us to bring some programming indoors and offer up an opportunity that we haven't had before.
Look into renting indoor space that we can provide, additional activities. Being able to have Mayor Mihalik's support in the Keep Active, Keep Healthy program has shown to be a huge success. The mayor has a great interest in the youth in our community, and she has a huge support for anything that has to do with being healthy.
I originally came to Findlay to study at the university, but I used the sport of basketball to help finance my education. A tremendous experience, and one that really helped shape who I am today. And it certainly has played a huge role in my desire to want to live a healthy and active life. And I want that for everybody.
Hold on to the bucket and try to push it all the way across.
Our job is to be able to help the community and try and do whatever we can to engage them and keep them active.
I would like to thank the American Beverage Foundation for a Healthy America and the U.S. Conference of Mayors for giving us this opportunity. This award is going to allow us to do great things in Findlay, and we're so thankful for the chance to do it.
You want to teach me how?
So we are really proud to support Mayor Mihalik's program with a $100,000 grant. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Mihalik to the stage.
Wow. Well, I can tell you that the worst part of that, first of all, that video is amazing. The resources that we have here at the conference that put together these great pieces are great, but I got to tell you, I was really nervous about the basketball photo, because I can tell you that I was not known for my ball handling when I played in college. We are really happy in Findlay to have the opportunity to do some great things, and the American Beverage Foundation for a Healthy America certainly is giving us the resources to be intentional about the way that we approach childhood obesity prevention. And on behalf of a very grateful community in Findlay, thank you, mayors, for being an inspiration to us. And thank you to the U.S. Conference of Mayors for providing us a platform to share best practices and do great things in our communities. Thank you so much.
All right, now on to the top award winner in the medium city category. This year, the award goes to Richmond, Virginia, Mayor LeVar Stoney for his Fit for Kids initiative. Let's see the video.
Richmond is rising. We have come out of the recession roaring. We have lifted many, many people to a higher level, but there are some people who are still being left behind.
And we're gonna harvest some greens for you guys to take home.
And so any programming that we can provide for any child to engage in the great resources we have as a beautiful city, that takes us to a whole other level.
Eat Smart, Move More is a program focused in the city of Richmond to get kids to eat healthy and to be physically active. Fit for Kids is so thrilled to have the support of Mayor Stoney. We believe that active, well-nourished kids learn more in school and have greater self-esteem.
Thumbs up. Say, I'm awesome. I'm awesome.
It's about building brighter futures for kids.
We're gonna go.
In 2016, I literally ran for office. I had a father who passed away at an early age of 49 years old because of a heart disease. And physical fitness has always been a part of my life.
For people in my world of children's wellness, it was a really big deal because we had never seen anything like that before, to have a mayor have that as a plank in his platform.
Which name of the game?
And I think it's important that the mayor is a role model for the children of their cities. Every calendar year, I get out there and visit every single school. I got that from a former mayor of Charleston, Joe Riley, who was a part of the U.S. Conference of Mayors.
Serving up some broccoli.
I come here and feel as if it's a safe haven, but also a place where they can grow as well. And that means ensuring they get the nutrition and the foods are necessary to brighten those minds so they can actually achieve their dreams.
How you doing?
I want to say thank you to the American Beverage Foundation for Healthy America and the U.S. Conference of Mayors for this wonderful grant that will allow us to reach in some of our communities that have been long marginalized and left behind and ensure that they get the same healthy lifestyle as anyone else in our city.
I've lived in the Richmond area for almost 20 years, and I've never been as optimistic as I am now about the potential for our community. I feel like all the pieces are coming together to really be able to make progress and improve outcomes for kids in Richmond.
No matter who you are, what color your skin may be, or who you pray to, or who you choose to love, you can live out your God-given talents right here in the city of Richmond.
Let's say up, down.
All right, Mayor Stoney will receive a $120,000 grant for his Fit for Kids initiative. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Stoney.
Well, I want to begin by thanking the American Beverage Association and the U.S. Conference of Mayors for this honor. As a kid who grew up on free and reduced lunch and had a father who died at age 49, I value a healthy and active lifestyle. This grant that we've won here today will allow us to, with our partner, Greater Richmond Fit for Kids, to allow for our kids in the city of Richmond to eat smart and move more. And I think knowing that our kids are our #1 asset, we have to do everything we can to ensure they live a quality life in our city. So thank you, ABA, and thank you, the U.S. Conference of Mayors.
All right, we are almost done. I'm really thrilled to announce, finally, our top award in the large city category goes to Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti for his Universal Play program. We hope you'll enjoy this short video on this innovative program.
As a young child, I was at the parks Monday through Friday and Saturdays all day. That was my second home. Having the kids get to have the same experiences that I had, it's been really great.
Studies show that when our children stay active, they're in better shape, have higher self-esteem, and make healthier life choices. Universal Play is about making sure a zip code doesn't determine a child's health.
The Universal Play program is designed to provide sports and fitness programs at a very affordable rate of $10. In less than 1 year, we've seen a double increase in participation of kids in that program.
It's allowed a lot more families not only to put their kids in the program, but an opportunity for them to put more of their kids in the program.
A few years ago, we probably had about 20% of the numbers that we show now. I'm proud to say that all of our programs are full. The community now has basically taken the park back.
Line up on the line. This way, keep going this way.
All those kids are learning social skills, life skills. They're learning sportsmanship, and they're getting the physical benefit.
Recreation centers are definitely important for the community. And I know my wife and I are very, very happy that our kids are able to play.
We as coaches take the time to teach them. You see the positive attitude.
Excellent.
And I think that has helped a lot.
The ability for us to get them out to the park and to allow them to simply play. And that's really what Universal Play is about.
This grant will actually benefit many children of the city of Los Angeles.
We currently serve nearly 100,000 kids annually. We believe we can easily double that number in a short amount of time.
Thanks to partners like the U.S. Conference of Mayors and the American Beverage Foundation for a Healthy America, we're bringing LA one step closer to becoming the healthiest city in the nation, one where no child is left on the bench and nobody is left behind.
All right. We are really proud to announce that Mayor Garcetti will receive a $150,000 grant for this program. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Garcetti.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? Got the coffee flowing? We all right? Well, thank you so much, and let me thank President Benjamin and First Vice President Barnett, to the incomparable and ageless Tom Cochran, to everybody who is a part of this amazing coming together that I look forward to so much each year. And my apologies for missing a day yesterday. But before I speak about some broader issues, I just want to speak about this award today, and speak how truly grateful I am for this honor in receiving this here. You know, we as mayors spend a lot of time on things that change people's lives, but that often go unnoticed. And this award stems from something that I've seen up close from my first days as a councilman, and something that's become very personal to me now that I'm a father and a foster parent. The lack of sports and recreational opportunities for young people is nothing short of a crisis in this country. It's one that manifests in people's health, it manifests in our crime statistics, it manifests in our very prospects for the future. So in LA, as you've seen, we're building parks. We're building hundreds of basketball courts. We're teaching kids who live just miles from the beach how to swim for the first time. And we launched Girls Play LA to make sure that girls have 50% of those opportunities to get healthy and to be athletes in our city's Rec and Parks programs. And by the time America gets the Olympic torch back and the Paralympic torch in 2028 for the first time for a Summer Games since Atlanta in 1996, we want to see, because we negotiated hard with the Olympics and got $160 million for the first time before the Games begin, to start spending on that legacy right now. And one last thing, as long as we're talking about sports, apologies to Mayor Walsh and Cantrell, but go Rams. As many of you know, I couldn't join you yesterday because we had a 6-day strike of our teachers, a walkout in Los Angeles. And like most of you in Los Angeles, I have no formal authority over the schools. Our school district, in fact, is a collection of 32 different cities in our area. But I did what mayors do. We see a problem, and we jump in, and we solve it. Quietly for months, I had been speaking to both sides, knowing what was coming. When the strike was upon us, I was able to bring everybody together in some good faith to end the strike and to chart a path forward for our children. The negotiations were literally around the clock. I pulled my first all-nighter since, I think, college on Monday/Tuesday. And there's one moment I wanted to share with you. When the emotions were high, when we were making progress and trying to earn trust, I asked everybody to drop what they were doing on both negotiating teams and to go to the top of our city hall. It used to be the tallest building in Los Angeles. It's the Daily Planet building from the old Superman series. It's a very iconic structure. And as we looked out through the granite of City Hall, at the city laying out like a bed of jewels in front of us with the lights coming up, we looked up to the sky, and that red wolf moon eclipse was just starting. And the moon started to disappear, and then it started to come back as this red orb above us, making us all feel humble and small. I was thinking then about how China just became the first country to land on the dark side of the moon. And our country, which defined and led the 20th century, how it suddenly feels too often adrift in the 21st. When we think about back in our moon project in 1961, when President Kennedy challenged us to put a man on the moon, it launched more than Neil Armstrong. We launched investments in schools, in science, in infrastructure. We secured decades of American leadership and secured the future for generations of our kids. Today, that's what other countries are doing, and unfortunately, we are not anymore. America right now is crying out for leadership, the leadership that I know exists in this room. Leadership that is focused on winning a future that is increasingly complicated and confusing, if not threatening. Fundamentally, that's what government is supposed to do. But ask yourselves, can we count on Washington to adapt quickly enough to prepare us for the future? How is it that we're falling so far behind? Now, if you accept the distilled reality that's offered on cable television, we hear we are two Americas, that there are red states and blue states. You think that we're rural or urban, immigrant and non-immigrant. Those of us who live in cities, who govern in cities, know that that is patently false. But they are right about one thing. There are two Americas, Washington and the rest of us. And this city is led by a great mayor. I'm not talking about local government here where things are getting done in Washington. I'm talking about our national government, which is broken. You know, as 60,000 teachers and their supporters were walking through my city in the pouring rain, which in LA is kind of like a snow day for us, it's pretty challenging, their courage, their enthusiasm led me out to the streets to start talking to some of them. And I took 5 teachers out to lunch. And one of them was telling me, she was a 30-year veteran teaching in one of the poorest schools, poorest neighborhoods, next to a public housing project in Los Angeles. She said, I still love being a teacher. Something that resonated with me because my grandmother answered President Johnson's call to be part of the teacher corps in Milwaukee. But she said, but with everything that's happened in this country and cutbacks in our schools, I don't love coming to work anymore. Some days I even hate it. And I was so inspired to see those teachers out there, like in the Women's March and the March for Our Lives. But something is seriously wrong when hundreds of thousands, if not millions of Americans are taking to the streets to demand leadership from our nation's capital. And I think that thing that that teacher told me is a fitting metaphor for our country right now. I've never loved this country more than I do right now, but I hate what its political system has become at the national level. I'm a mayor, though. Like you, I get to drink from the well of American democracy every day. We literally drink the water it's our responsibility to keep clean. My children and foster kids play in the neighborhoods I have to protect. If something happens to one of us, I have to make sure that the fire department is equipped with the equipment they need to save our lives. It's personal. And we keep moving this country forward no matter what. Yes, our nation's capital is broken. But the spirit of America is alive and well in our towns and in our cities across America, the real America, as I call it. And I see that spirit every day. I saw it in Tornillo, Texas, when a group of us, Democrats and Republicans and nonpartisan folks, came to the same place where my grandfather was carried over the border in my bisabuela's arms, my great-grandmother's arms, as a baby, to say that the opportunity that he was given, who then got his citizenship and became a veteran and helped win World War II. And the reason that I'm standing here today, that is the American vision, not one in which children are ripped from their parents' arms and thrown into cages. That is not our America. I saw that spirit on Tuesday night, like in many of your cities, when we started a homeless count, to make sure that we tell people not only that they will be counted, but that they count, and that we will find them. The start of caring for each individual is knowing that they're out there. And last year, thanks to local funding, but unfortunately not much help from Washington, a strategy we deployed has finally given us the first downturn in homelessness in our city, and so many cities around this country that are crying out for that help. I see America's spirit in Youngstown, in Ohio, where Mayor Brown is using 3D printing to rethink what manufacturing can be at the same time that Washington policies are shutting a GM plant down in his town. I see that spirit in Dayton, where Mayor Nan Whaley has cut opioid deaths in half because she wants to see fewer of her people die. I see that spirit in Cincinnati, where Mayor Cranley has led a model of community schools that we drew from to settle the strike in LA because it's been so successful. And that's just one state, Ohio. We could go through 49 others to hear where America is alive and well. That's America. And in fact, that America is in our founding documents, my friends. You go to the Constitution, it talks about power going to Washington, not coming from Washington. In fact, in the Declaration of Independence, it states, whenever any form of government becomes destructive, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government. That time, my friends, is now. It's time to demand that Washington follow our lead instead of the other way around. It's time that our nation is led from the bottom up and not from the top down. My friends, it's time to flip Washington on its head. The reality is that America's future is in our backyards. Mayors fix the cracks in our roads and bridges that are the scars left by Washington's neglect. While Washington talks and talks and talks about an infrastructure plan, we're actually passing them. The same night we elected a new president and talk of both candidates to get a $200 billion package through, American cities passed $230 billion. Mayors like Bob Buckhorn in Tampa in this last election got billions of dollars to do what's right for our people. And I went up to the Hill today, and like Speaker Pelosi said yesterday, America's mayors need more than tweets. We need help on our streets. I'll stay with the Dr. Seuss theme. We don't need more screams. We need clean streams. We've got to figure out ways to do the work that we see in our cities and that our people demand. While Washington has left the minimum wage untouched at $7.25 an hour, in many of our cities, including LA, we're paying $15 an hour to reward hard work, finally. While other people, and by the way, that's not a blue issue because Arizona, Arkansas, Missouri, and Montana increased their wages at the ballot this year too. It's what America wants. While Washington drowns young people in debt, we're making community college free. In LA, we saw an increase of 56% in the first year of our public school graduates going to community college when we lifted tuition as a barrier. While our president thinks that this should be the only nation that withdraws from the Paris Climate Accord, with Mayor Rogero and Walsh and Turner, climate mayors, and so many of you, and if you haven't signed up, sign up, 406 cities and 48 states and counting, representing 80 million Americans said, if he's out, we're in, because we're here to solve problems and save our future. My time's up, but let me close in 2 minutes, and I want to speak about infrastructure, because yesterday that was going to be what my speech is about. I'm so honored to chair our infrastructure task force, and just came from meetings on the Hill. I'm going back up and meeting with a speaker shortly hereafter about that as well. And together with Mayors Benjamin and Buttigieg and Cranley and Whaley, we started an initiative, a do tank called Accelerator for America, focused on helping with economic revitalization and infrastructure. And we did a poll in conjunction with the U.S. Conference of Mayors just a month and a half ago of 1,000 Americans. It found that 89% of Americans want Democrats and Republicans to work together. Real people of both parties said 89% in this country want Washington to get back to work together. What's so hard about doing that? I know that if this room stormed Capitol Hill, we would get this shutdown taken care of in a few hours. We would be back at work. We have cities today, like ours, that are literally starting to pay federal employees to make sure that a Super Bowl can happen in Atlanta. They're going to start paying TSA agents, as we're going to be announcing tomorrow as well, out of our own funds, because these are real people who protect us and safeguard us, and they deserve to be at work. So I'll leave you with this vision. Imagine a Washington that listened not to mayors, but to Americans, that listen to the local communities that make this city and make this country so ambitious and so attractive. A nation full of kind and caring, not cruel and corrupt leaders. People who demand that this should be a moment when America should be at the top and defining that future of tomorrow. When I was driving home after pulling that all-nighter, I was in my car feeling the sun rise in the east and backlight my city. The moon that I had seen 2 days before was still hanging in the western horizon, and I looked at it almost like it was challenging us. At a moment we had come together through the fighting I had just survived 6 days, seeing people who felt that they could not work together, not only come together, but embrace each other. And I hadn't felt that hopeful in a long, long time. If you're feeling down about America, just come to our cities. Just see who we are and what we are about. And know that listening to and working in America's cities, I feel it, I hope you feel it, that our best years are yet to come. Thank you all so much.
To all the winners of the awards, congratulations, and a tremendous thank you to all who participated in this program. I encourage, again, all of you who may not have applied for grants to join us next year in pursuing some of these incredible grants. We are now going to hear from another mayor who's been a great leader in his city and also in our conference, Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel. Under Mayor Emanuel's leadership, Chicago has contributed greatly to the challenges to the administration's public charge proposal and the citizenship question on the census, and has been a leader in successful legal challenges to the immigration-related requirements the administration has tried to impose on public safety grant programs. Chicago was one of the first cities to sue the Justice Department to enjoin those provisions. It was one of the first cities also to have a decision in its favor. At Mayor Emanuel's request, the Conference of Mayors joined that process, and as a result of that litigation, as of now, U.S. Conference of Mayors members do not have to adhere to the immigration-related requirements to receive public safety grants in 2017. We're also working to see that the 2018 requirements are enjoined. So we want to thank Mayor Emanuel for his leadership there. He's also been a leader in our efforts to develop a realistic federal infrastructure investment program. He's added 4 years of classroom time, universal full-day pre-K, universal full-day kindergarten, an additional hour and 15 minutes per day, which equals to 2 weeks per year. In Chicago, he's taken an innovative approach to making community college free and breaking down the barriers to higher education and the American dream. Mayor Emanuel announced in September that he will leave office this May. And so, Rahm, we're so glad you could be here with us at your final winter meeting as mayor. Mayor Emanuel.
Thanks, Steve. So I'm going to be real quick, and I just want to know that I started this job 6'2" and 250 pounds. I'm now 148 dripping wet and 5'8". But on a quick thing, I spoke about the issue that we were going to do, which is free community college. And about 4 years ago, and we've launched it, and now 6,000 kids in the city of Chicago have embarked upon the Chicago Star Scholarship. 81% of the children that use the Chicago Star Scholarship, free tuition, free books, free transportation, 81% are the first ones in their family ever go to college. Steve just mentioned, so when I became mayor, we did not have full-day kindergarten for every child. We made kindergarten full for every child. We did not have full-day universal pre-K for every child. We're now embarked on full-day pre-K for every child, regardless of zip code or background in the city of Chicago. We added an hour and 15 minutes to every day. So when you add it all up, a child today in the city of Chicago gets 4 more years of classroom time than a child born 10 years ago. And if 83% of your kids are poverty or below, they need more classroom time than anything else you can do. Some of the biggest things I've ever done in my life and public life is what I've talked about, which is the Chicago Star Scholarship. We have a big debate in America. It's somewhat described as a division between red and blue, but it comes down to a fault line on education. And in Chicago, we have a different bargain. Rather than education being defined what divides us, it is what brings us together as a city of Chicago. First, we're on track. In high school, 50% of our kids will graduate this year with college credit under their belt earned in high school. High school is no longer about graduation, it's about preparing for college. And we are on track for that effort. Second, starting next year, which we're also on track, to get your walking papers, your high school diploma, you will have to produce, and we're going to support you, we've hired more counselors and advisors, a letter of acceptance from either college, community college, vocational, armed forces, or an employer. Every child, not just the Emanuel children, will have a post-high school education plan. In a period in time where you earn what you learn, you cannot afford to have only certain children planning for that post-high school. High school is not just about graduation, it's about preparing you for what you do next. All the data shows through the dual credit, dual enrollment, IBAP, which Chicago is the largest of in the country in those 3 areas, the kids 90% more likely to go to college if they already have taken college credit. We reorganize our colleges. So we have 7 of them. It's the second largest system in the United States, community college. Reorganize, each school is aligned with a sector of the economy. Malcolm X, healthcare. Olive Harvey, transportation, distribution, logistics. Kennedy King, culinary hospitality. Harold Washington is in the professional services, Wright in IT. Industry does the curriculum that they're going to be hiring for. We used to have 7% graduation rate. We're now north of 24%. And what we've done is make sure that the education is not just a job, but a career and a ticket to the middle class. The other piece then that we've done is not just what happens in high school, we added from 500 kids in our dual credit and dual enrollment in our high schools to 5,000 kids now get high school dual credit, dual enrollment in our community colleges, an exponential increase in that exposure. We then set up a thing called the Chicago Star Scholarship. If you get a B average in public high school, community college is free. Your tuition is free. Your books are free. Your transportation is free. Our retention rate is double the national average, and our completion rate is double the national average. And then I took every college and university in the city, 18 of them, University of Chicago, Northwestern, DePaul, UIC, Loyola, Columbia, Roosevelt. I don't want to name all of them, but just to prove to you I kind of know the schools. And we had this. If you keep the B average in community college, every one of those schools offer our students 25 to 40% off of tuition. No parent should take a second job or a second mortgage to give their child a chance at the American dream. It is wrong. And we as mayors have to understand, and I know we know this, there is tremendous stress at that kitchen table over college. The cost of college and saving for it is, in my view, one of the leading causes of divorce in America. It's wrong. No parent should have to pick which child goes to college and which one doesn't. 6,000 kids have availed themselves of the Star Scholarship. Hundreds have availed themselves of what we call the Chicago Star Plus. There's not a week that goes by that I do not run into a student who is graduating college debt-free. Last week when we opened up the Richard J. Daley Advanced Manufacturing, Digital Manufacturing and Engineering School, Arturo introduced me. Went to community college for free, availed himself of the Chicago Star, graduated from UIC. He's working at Capital One, north of a six-figure salary in computer science without a penny of debt. And there are hundreds of Arturos in the city of Chicago because of this program. And to me, it is the single most important thing. When I started as mayor in 2011, I saw at that point that our employees were looking for employers. May 20th, and also it's been true for the last 2 years, I'm walking out, employers are looking for employees. There's not one of us that don't have a city, no matter what size, that we don't have a skill and labor shortage problem. We have colleges, we have universities. I can now say, since we're on our 5th consecutive year as the #1 city for corporate relocation, you want to graduate a Booth Business School, Kellogg? Check. You want to graduate at U of I in computer science and engineering? Check. You want somebody from sales and marketing? We got DePaul, we got Loyola, we got Notre Dame, we got University of Michigan, Wisconsin. Check. You want IT support? You want the other people in sales and marketing? We got Wright Community College, we got Harold Washington Community College, we have all the schools, and we can give you everything you need for every part of your sector. And when I can tell you in the area of the next 20 years uncertainty around education and workforce, and trust me, those 5 years in a row of corporate relocation, 6 years in a row, #1 city for direct foreign investment in America, it's not because of this winning personality. It's because we actually have an educational system backs up what they're looking for. Now, I want to close on this, and I want to say this. This has been the greatest job I've ever had in my life, is being mayor of the city of Chicago. Better than chief of staff, Congress, and also a senior advisor to President Clinton. I've worked on a lot of stuff from healthcare reform, financial reform. The single, probably greatest thing I've been the opportunity to work on is making our community colleges free again for our students. Amy and I are fortunate. We have 3 kids grown up. We became empty nesters. Free at last, free at last. When I say fortunate, because we got 3 healthy kids who are all doing great, but we can never have to face the choice of which child gets to go to college and which one has to stay working and living at home. And I don't think it's right that if people have journeyed to this country, in our public schools, I have 140 languages spoken in Chicago public schools. If you've journeyed, sacrificed, and struggled, the opportunity that America provides goes through the doors of our classrooms. And more importantly, it goes through the doors of our community colleges. And today I can say with confidence that that door is wider and bigger and more open than it's ever been. And it's the most important thing I've ever worked on in my life, in public life. And to all my, that must be somebody from Chicago. And I just want to say on a closing note to all my friends here in the Mayor's Conference and all the mayors, I want to thank you for your friendship, not just your professional lives, but I want to thank you for your friendship through all 8 years. And to the new mayors, these are the people, every one of us have experienced the same challenges, the same opportunities, the same struggles. You're going to learn more from your fellow mayors who all have gone through what you're going. I know you think your challenge is unique and different. No, the media is hard on all of us. They're not just hard on you. And they don't give you a fair break for what you've done. But the truth is, you're going to learn more at this conference, learn more from your colleagues, ideas and concepts. You'll translate them back into the language of your city. But every one of us can come away from here having learned something from a colleague, been exposed to something that then give us a greater insight to how to resolve our issues. Because in the end of the day, no mayor can afford 39 days of shut business. We don't get the luxury of 39 days of not paying bills. We have to open up schools, plow streets, cut trees, fix lights, and bring companies and jobs and opportunity, and we don't get one day off doing it. And to all of you, I want to thank you for your friendship over the years. Thank you.
I want to thank Mayor Mayoral again. I'd now like to take a moment to introduce my friend, our friend and colleague, Pete Buttigieg. We all know Pete as the mayor of South Bend, first elected in 2011 at only 29 years old, and as a dynamic mayor who under his leadership turned South Bend from being one of America's 10 dying cities to a city seeing positive economic growth and population growth for the first time in decades, and reimagining its role in the global economy with the development of key industries. Mayor Pete also served as a lieutenant in the Navy Reserve, even taking an unpaid 7-month leave during his mayoral term for deployment to Afghanistan. I thought being mayor was hard enough, but hey. Mayor Buttigieg currently serves as an advisory board member for the conference, is also as chair of our automation task force. Please welcome Mayor Pete.
Good afternoon. First, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to address this session. I want to thank President Benjamin, along with Mayors Barnett and Fisher for their leadership, and Tom Cochran and the fantastic staff of this conference. Entering my 8th and last year as mayor, it's been a tremendous privilege to be part of this body dealing with issues from water infrastructure to immigration, and I've especially valued the chance to serve on the advisory board as chair of the automation task force, which I should plug is convening later on this afternoon. And more than anything, my husband Chasten and I cherish the friendships that we've made among the fellow mayors, spouses, and others who are here. I think the circumstances around us in Washington only serve to amplify the importance of this conference, this community of American mayors. Can you imagine what would happen if one of us ever shut down a city because of a policy disagreement? Civilization would break down in a matter of hours because we deliver water, we pick up the trash. They would run us out of town on a rail, so we do not let it happen. Mayors are different. Where else can you walk into a national gathering of Democratic and Republican elected officials who care about the same priorities and actually like each other? Mayors accept accountability for what happens in our cities, even when it means that we have to manage things that we don't own or own things that we don't control. And we work across the aisle, not by pretending to be something we're not ideologically, not watering down our values, but engaging people in good faith who understand the stakes. And I believe we need more of that here in Washington. Which brings me to the fact that yesterday I launched an exploratory committee to run for President of the United States. Let me acknowledge that I understand the audacity of running for president at my age. Especially because sometimes downstairs I'll still get carded when I order a beer. But the truth is, it's audacious for anyone, any mortal of any age, to think that they could possibly belong in that office. And yet every one of our 45 presidents has been just that. And right now, I believe the time has come for a new generation of leadership to come forward at the highest levels. So we announced this yesterday. The response the last 24 hours has been overwhelming. It has been positive. People have contributed from every state, and we've had encouragement from every corner. We did hear some skepticism about the idea of a mayor going straight into the national arena. Some people even said, you ought to run for Congress first. I mean no disrespect to the United States Congress, but that is a very different job. And I would argue that our country right now would be a better place if Congress looked more like the community of American mayors and not the other way around. Are we really so sure that serving in that legislative body, crucially important though it is more weighty and more demanding and more relevant today than the experience of leading a city of any size as it faces its biggest opportunities and challenges? I doubt that, because we cannot keep doing what we've been doing, especially in Washington. We need something completely different, and that just might mean sending a mayor to the White House. Many of you have heard me tell the story of South Bend, a diverse and largely low-income city that struggled for decades to recover from the destruction of the local auto industry in the 1960s. We saw times so tough that the national press called us dying as recently as 2011, the month I got into the race for mayor. But today, our city is known for changing our trajectory as we dealt with vacant and abandoned houses, created thousands of new jobs in industries that didn't even exist when the last Studebaker rolled off the line in South Bend. We grew our population and came to believe in our city's future again. Mayors understand what's at stake in our work. It's not a show for us. We know the accountability, the immediacy of the everyday, because we live in our cities. We eat what we cook. And we never forget why all of this, why politics itself matters. When you are in charge of everything from water infrastructure to police protection, you never forget the stakes. A mayor, like a president, has to do three things: to capably run an administration, to pass and implement good policies, and most importantly, and most missing right now at the national level, to call people to their highest values in times of stress and division. Every mayor has had that moment when you realize, more than any initiative, more than any policy, you realize as a walking symbol of your community, you have the responsibility to hold people together and to elevate their spirit. This is a season for local leadership in our national life. Most of the country's most urgent issues, racial justice, immigration, infrastructure, they're playing out primarily at the local level. All politics is local, especially national politics. And all politics is personal. And that is especially true for my generation. The more you are concerned about what your life will be like in 2054, which is when I will reach the current age of the current president, the more you have at stake in the decisions made in 2020. That's why it's time for a new approach and a new vocabulary. So to everyone who says that my side of the aisle doesn't know how to put what we believe on a bumper sticker, I would answer this: freedom, security, democracy. That'll fit. Freedom, I believe, ought to be the organizing principle for all of our domestic policy. But leaders on my side of the aisle have relinquished the language of freedom to the right. Conservatives care deeply about freedom, but their attention is usually limited to freedom from government. Mayors already know that there's more to freedom than freedom from, because you don't enjoy freedom to live a life of your choosing if you can't get your trash picked up. You're not free to focus on entrepreneurship or family or faith or whatever things matter most in your life if you've got to get up in the morning and worry about how you're going to get clean, safe drinking water that doesn't poison your family. And that's true at the national level too. You are not free if you cannot sue a financial institution that gets caught ripping you off. You are not free if you can't start a small business because you're afraid of losing your health care, or if you can't make your own health care decisions at all, or if you can't marry the person you love because a county clerk is imposing their interpretation of their religion on you. That's freedom. Democracy. I believe the future of our democracy has been called into question. Is our democratic republic even democratic anymore? As we speak, workers and parents and children right here in the District of Columbia are denied full representation in the House and Senate. That is not democracy. It's not democracy when districts are drawn so politicians get to pick their voters instead of the other way around. Cities are a lot more democratic because they don't redraw city limits every 10 years. Maybe some mayors wish that we could. I won't speak to whether that's about drawing people in or drawing people out. But it's an authentic community of interest. Maybe the last level of American government that is really functioning right now is a democracy. Nationally, it is not a democracy if dollars can outvote people, or if citizens are blocked from exercising their legitimate right to vote. So many great Americans fought for democracy overseas. We have to be willing to defend it right here at home. And speaking of things we haven't been comfortable talking about on my side of the aisle, the third, security. My party's got to do a better job explaining our commitment to security. Every mayor already knows there's a lot more to safety and security than fences and guns. I know a thing or two about that. When I was doing vehicle movements in Afghanistan, what kept me safe wasn't just the armor on my vehicle or on my body or the M4 or the M9. It was also trust. Trust among people who got in my vehicle and did not care if I was a Republican or a Democrat, or what country my father immigrated from, or whether I was going home to a boyfriend or a girlfriend. They just cared if I knew how to do my job. And there was something else that kept us safe. The flag we had stitched to our shoulder represented a country that kept its word. And our allies knew it, and our enemies knew it, and that too helped keep us safe. Security starts at home. When I think about security, I think about life in South Bend, Indiana. I think about the floods that put people out of their homes twice in 2 years. First, a 1,000-year rainfall, then the next year, a 500-year river flood. Do the math. Either I have the most ridiculous statistical luck of any mayor, or the climate is changing. And 21st century security means dealing with climate threats too. It means making sure someone with a history of violence can't get a firearm in the first place, let alone bring it anywhere near your child's school. And it means dealing with attacks on our precious democracy, our election system, attacks that are underway as we speak from hostile foreign powers. Yes, military security, border security, but also climate security, election security, domestic security, cyber security. It is 2019, and there is a lot more to keeping us safe than building a wall. Lastly, I'm exploring this run because we have been told to look for greatness in all the wrong places. We will not find greatness in the past, trying to dredge it up from some impossible again. There is no again in the real world. There's no going back. Conservatives cannot go back to the 1950s, and Democrats cannot go back to the 1990s. As every mayor knows, thank you. As every mayor knows, there is only the future and our responsibility to make it better than what came before. And I know there is a future for American greatness. It's something I believe in. It's something I put my life on the line to defend. And greatness begins at home. It plays out in the everyday lives and everyday experiences of the people we serve every day, in our communities. Not in the television studios or in the Capitol building, but in our homes and our families and our neighborhoods. That is where we find and build up the real greatness of America. So we're looking at doing something that has not been done before. And I get that I am not like the others, but I think that might be a good thing. And knowing what the community of American mayors means, I hope that we can work together every step of the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pete. Our next speaker is from a company that has been a strong supporter of the United States Conference of Mayors for more than 30 years. That company is Nationwide. As a platinum partner, Nationwide provides retirement plan services for your cities through its 457D deferred compensation plans. Nationwide is the market leader in the defined contribution industry and is a best-in-class provider. Nationwide has a commitment to cities helping your employees save for and live in retirement. Most recently, Nationwide earned the right to be the service provider for Santa Clara, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Denver, Colorado, and also Baltimore, Maryland. What differentiates this company from its competitors are its people, its technology, and its culture. To tell us more about Nationwide is Ruben Miner, Director of Relationship Management, Nationwide Retirement Plans. Please join me in welcoming Ruben.
Good afternoon. Can we give a hand to the leadership of the United States Conference of Mayors, Mayor Benjamin? Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here, Mayor Benjamin. On behalf of John Carter, President of Nationwide Retirement Plans, we appreciate the opportunity to be here, to be back together again in relationship with the Conference of Mayors. And as he stated, we've had some great wins since we've come back together. I would like to give a shout out to the Mayor of Denver and also to Mayor Hancock. I don't believe he's in the room. And just in appreciation for his business, this is the most recent win. And also Tulsa, Oklahoma, Mayor G.T. Bynum, are you in the room? If not, thank you as well. This is the most recent win within the last 30, 60 days. So we appreciate the wins that we've had. And for 2019, we're really positioned to do much of the same. Now, how are we going to do that? And there are two ways that we're going to get that accomplished. One is going to be through growth, and it's also going to be through education, and also through excellence in service. So when it comes to growth, when it comes to opportunities, what we need most is to continue to build strong, strategic, meaningful relationships with you mayors and your administration and your administration's influencers. We cannot do without them. We cannot do it without you. We also going to leverage our expertise when it comes to service. You know, Dalbar, which is an online marketing research firm, named us as best in class customer experience to retirement plan participants. This recognition includes multiple service channels, which cover the vast majority of Nationwide's interactions with plan participants, and it really, really sets us apart from all of our competitors. One of the things that Nationwide brings is the value of education and empowerment, because we all know that when you are educated and you're empowered, you are able to make better decisions. And for example, we have presentations on Social Security, health savings account, long-term care. All those things are critically important to employees because let's face it, if they're not educated by the time they get to retirement age, that's not a good thing. So by the raising of hands, when you all reach retirement age, how many of you want to be broke? That's what I thought, not one. So what we do at Nationwide is we bring education through our My Interactive Retirement Planner, and essentially what it is, it's a snapshot of what your retirement plans will look like, what your finances will look like. And if it's not right, we give you the opportunity to create an action plan to close any gaps that may exist. So when you get to retirement, you can not only get there, but you can enjoy it. That's the value that we bring at Nationwide. And one of the things that I did last year when I went to the leadership meeting with Mayor Benjamin is to begin a tradition of singing our jingle. So, Mayor Benjamin, if you are not far away, as you promised, you're gonna come out with me and you're gonna sing the jingle along with all of us. Mayor Benjamin? Apprehensively, you may notice. And before he says that, as he comes, thank you so much for everything. Nationwide really is on your side. We are more than a business. We care about what you all do. We care about your employees, and we care about you, Mayor. So, Mayor Benjamin.
First of all, Ruben, I thought you were joking. Second of all, if you go on Instagram, you'll see a little ditty. Ruben and I sing a little bit of Prince, Purple Rain as well. But not that if you don't follow me on Instagram, you don't know what you're missing. Let's do it, bro.
All right, on three. 1, 2, 3. Everybody join with us. Nationwide is on your side. Thank you so much.
No one else out there get any ideas. All right, so it's now my distinct honor to welcome to this conference the 77th Secretary of the Treasury of the United States, Steven Mnuchin. As Secretary of the Treasury, Mr. Mnuchin is responsible for promoting the nation's economic growth and job creation. His management of the federal Treasury touches almost every institution, business, and individual in this country, and his responsibilities extend to the international financial system and stage. This conference knows firsthand that the Secretary understands the importance of cities to our national economy and shares our commitment to bring investment and economic growth to neighborhoods and individuals that have been left behind. Last September, I had the privilege of leading a delegation of mayors on behalf of this conference to meet with Secretary Mnuchin on the new Opportunity Zone provisions included in the recently enacted Tax Cut and Jobs Act. We're extremely appreciative of the Secretary's commitment to support the Opportunity Zones program. Without question, he understands incredible potential Opportunity Zones represent in our efforts to attract income and investment to low and moderate neighborhoods. Mayors, please join me in welcoming our special guest, the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Treasury, Steven Mnuchin.
Thank you for that kind introduction and for the invitation to be here today. It's an honor to join all of you. I recently had the pleasure of meeting with a delegation of mayors from the Conference of Mayors at the Treasury Department. We had a productive meeting. I realized that as mayors, you do not simply represent your constituents, you literally work on behalf of thousands of families, friends, and neighbors. With that in mind, I'd like to take the opportunity to update you on a policy that is important to many of your communities back home, Opportunity Zones. As most of you are aware, Opportunity Zones were created by the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and it's one of the most important and dynamic aspects of the law. It's no exaggeration to say that Opportunity Zones will have a real positive impact for families and businesses across the country. It will help revitalize distressed communities, generate momentum where it is needed, create jobs, and ensure that more families will share in our overall economic success. The program works by offering capital gains tax relief to encourage long-term investments in businesses located in economically struggling areas. I've said this before, but bears repeating. Opportunity zones create an ideal vehicle for entrepreneurs and investors who want to create positive social impacts. We are already seeing tremendous optimism from business and communities alike. In fact, we believe that more than $100 billion will be committed for investments in this area. At the Treasury Department, we are in charge of issuing regulations to implement opportunity zones. We have worked to provide as much flexibility as possible to accommodate the needs of the communities and potential investors interested. For example, we worked with states and local governance partners to certify over 8,700 zones in all 50 states, DC, and the 5 U.S. territories. We've also reviewed comments from many interested parties, including the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and provided as much clarity as we can consistent with the law. For instance, we made clear that all capital gains, both short and long-term, qualify for the incentive. We have identified the term substantial improvement of existing property. In doing so, we excluded the value of purchased land where property is located. This makes it much easier for the rehabilitation of existing buildings in blighted areas to meet the threshold for incentive. We've proposed that the term substantially all tangible assets in an opportunity zone business should mean 70% of the tangible assets. This makes it easier for business to have a portion of their operations outside the zone without losing the incentive for making an impact inside the zone. And we've proposed rules to allow opportunity zone businesses to have up to 31 months to use working capital for the improvements of the tangible property. By doing this, we've made it easier for business to accumulate capital for projects that require a substantial ramp-up period. We believe that the range of possibilities is nearly limitless. Let me just give you some examples. An entrepreneur with capital gains can fund a new business in a tract near a university to bring cutting-edge technology from the classroom and the lab to the global marketplace. A manufacturer with capital gains can create a subsidiary to build a new production line in a multi-acre zone to take advantage of tax-efficient capital expenditures while providing jobs in low-income communities. A fulfillment company can joint venture with investors with capital gains to build a new warehouse and logistics facility in a tract near the interstate to better meet customer demand for next-day delivery. A real estate developer can establish a partnership with local investors to create affordable workforce housing that will enhance the livability of our cities and towns. We are particularly proud of the Opportunity Zones incentive because it will ensure not only that capital is deployed in our country, but is invested in a way that will achieve profound results by restoring the promise of prosperity to people and communities that have been left behind. We plan to issue shortly a second set of Opportunity Zone proposed regulations that will provide additional certainty for both business and investors. We will clarify, as we have already indicated in the press, that income is not the same as revenues for the requirement that 50% of a zone's business gross income must come from the active conduct of business in the Opportunity Zone. We are also reviewing appropriate safe harbor rules for meeting the test based on where services are performed and where the tangible property is located to create additional opportunities. These zones are an important part of the President Trump's economic agenda in the category of tax cuts. The three main parts of the broader agenda are tax cuts, regulatory relief, and improved trade relations. I am pleased to report that this policy agenda is working. In fact, if you remember anything from my economic update today, you should remember the number 3 because of these policies. In 2018, real GDP is projected to exceed 3% for the first time in 13 years. Wages rose by over 3%, the highest nominal increase in nearly a decade. Unemployment is historically low at 3.9%. We just saw an astounding 312,000 jobs added in December, and more Americans are entering the workforce because of a renewed sense of optimism. Finally, the World Economic Forum recently announced the United States is no longer number 3. It is now number 1 in the most competitive economy in the world, receiving the top rank for the first time in 10 years. These results are happening because we are making our country competitive again. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act does more than create opportunity zones. It lowers tax rates for American families and businesses to more closely align with the rates of foreign competitors. It encourages repatriation of profits from overseas. It allows business to immediately expense capital expenditures, encouraging greater investment here in the United States. In large part because of these policies, companies are now investing hundreds of billions of dollars to establish and expand U.S. business operations. Savings are also being passed on to workers in the form of more generous compensation and new jobs, in addition to lower tax bills. Tax cuts complement our effort to provide regulatory relief and improve trade agreements. In our trade negotiations, we are aiming to break down decades-old barriers to markets around the world. We are working with China to achieve concrete changes to our trading relationship and structural reforms to open their economy to our companies. President Trump and President Xi had a productive meeting at the G20 in Buenos Aires. A joint delegation continued these discussions in China earlier this month, and I, along with Ambassador Lighthizer, look forward to meeting the Vice Premier Leo Hood next week here in Washington. The new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement will modernize our trading relationships in North America and create some of the highest standards ever to protect intellectual property rights, support small and mid-sized business, open markets for agriculture, and increase manufacturing. We hope for its speedy passage through Congress. I know that mayors have been strong advocates for trade agreements in the past, and I hope that your voice of support will be heard again here. The U.S. Trade Representative is also announced negotiating objectives with Europe. We will work together with our colleagues to lower tariffs to eliminate non-tariff barriers. President Trump is also strongly committed to reciprocal trade with the rest of the world. Too often, current international rules, foreign nations can impose substantially higher tariffs on our goods. In conclusion, the President's program of cutting taxes, reducing regulatory burdens, and improving trade relations is creating higher economic growth, more jobs, and higher wages. Our task is now to make sure that it works for all Americans, no matter where they live. I commend you each for your service to your communities. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today. Thank you very much.
And now, the 14th Mayor of the City and County of Honolulu, the Honorable Kirk Caldwell.
Good afternoon and aloha. You know, I watched the video and heard this great song that we sing at the end of every legislative session, at the end of every major event. And it talks about the land, the people from the land, and how being connected to the land and loving the land will love you back. And for me, as I'm sitting in these rooms for the past 2 days and hearing incredible speeches, the one thing that I come away with from all of us as mayors is that we look for connection. And yes, Hawaii is the most isolated group of islands you'll find anywhere in the world. We call ourselves the Blue Continent. We're surrounded by this incredible blue ocean, and our first peoples, the native Hawaiians, came from Polynesia in canoe. And after that, we had every possible immigrant group coming to Hawaii. We're the most diverse place you'll find anywhere on the planet in terms of population. No one race is in the majority. Every one of us is in a minority. But instead of talking about walls and borders, we talk about connection. We want to know your story. We want to know, as we sit around tables like this, how you got to Hawaii. What brought you here and what's unique about you, because we like that. We're proud of that. And we call it the aloha spirit. And it's not just a word or phrase for tourists. It is how we live every day of our life, with aloha, giving breath to each other. And so I'm hoping that all of you here will fly to Honolulu on the 28th of June to July 1st of 2019 for the summer meeting and feel that aloha and see the acceptance that we provide to each other just as we provide to each other in this room. And then take it back to your cities. It's so important, particularly in this time of such divisive words, of hateful language. You won't hear that in Honolulu as much. And I want to thank you for concerting. I want to thank our 2 new mayors who are here today, Mike Victorino from the island of Maui and Derek Kawakami from the island of Kauai. And of course, we have our ongoing mayor, Harry Kim of the island of Hawaii. Korean American, Portuguese American, European American, and Japanese American. That is who we are as a people. I look forward to seeing you all in Honolulu on the 28th for 4 great days of evening events, and of course the daytime events will be fantastic at the Hilton Hawaiian Village right on the beach in Waikiki. I want to thank Tom Cochran. I want to thank Mayor Benjamin. I want to thank all of you with much aloha and much love. Mahalo. Thank you.
Hawaii mayors always get to dress down, guys, by the way, so that's pretty cool. I want to thank Mayor Caldwell. We're so excited about visiting with him this summer. From energy to infrastructure, Siemens digital technology is unlocking the potential of cities all across America. On this video, city residents share what makes them proud of their cities.
Hello from Holland, Michigan. You might not know it, but we're pretty high tech. Thanks to our heated sidewalks, we can pump and dance down the streets year-round. Best city in the world.
No. Pittsburgh's the best. You like skyscrapers? You can thank us and our steel. You can also thank us for making the country greener with these LEED certified buildings. I mean, who else can say that?
We're so cool in Memphis, birthplace of the blues, because we got the smartest buildings and the world's best barbecue. Texas, how about you?
I'm proud to be the watermelon queen of Hempstead, Texas. We have the most reliable power and water around. That's why we have more watermelons than people. My friends up in Utah can't say that. Hello, Utah.
Yeah, but Orem's got a bunch of new startups, coders, and developers everywhere. Hey, Taylor.
Hey.
Speaking of, check out these new high-tech streetlights. You better watch out, Silicon Valley.
You want to talk high-tech? Santa Clara takes high-tech to the next level.
Silicon Valley has so many electric car charging stations that even our parking lots are making the world a better place.
Who needs a car? We have everything right here in Brooklyn. We have the best cannoli, the best sausage and peppers.
We even make our own electricity and the whole block shares it.
They don't do that in Manhattan.
From energy to infrastructure, Siemens Digital Technology is giving people in cities all over America even more to be proud of.
In spite of the government's stalemate, we were able in the closing days of the last Congress to pass a Conference of Mayors legislative priority in the area of the Clean Water Act and unfunded mandates. Before I have Mayor Dave Berger of Lima, Ohio, the co-chair of our Mayor's Water Council, brief us on this legislative win, I want to give a shout out to Mayor Berger for his tireless advocacy on this issue. He has been a leader, a great example of how a smaller city that was facing a costly EPA unfunded mandate brought the issue to the Mayor's Water Council and working with other mayors, worked with the EPA and Congress to develop a tool that would help all cities. He was in all of our negotiations with the EPA and testified numerous times on our behalf. I want to thank you, Mayor Berger, for your leadership on this issue and look forward to your continued leadership. Mayor Berger.
Well, good afternoon. At yesterday's Water Council meeting, Napa, California Mayor Jill Teckle and I used the meeting to punch up a major milestone victory on behalf of the Water Council and the U.S. Conference of Mayors. And I want to do that again today, but also with a word about the fact that the work is not done. We've been working for nearly a decade to achieve major changes to the Clean Water Act, passed originally in 1972. And I'm pleased to report that on December 19th, in a thoroughly bipartisan way, the U.S. House of Representatives passed with only 10 votes in the negative the Water Infrastructure Improvement Act. And 3 days later, thank you. 3 days later, the U.S. Senate did so unanimously. And then we bit our nails for a while till the last moment, and actually the president then signed the bill into law on January 14th. So we now have the most significant change to the Clean Water Act since its first adoption. And it is all about helping cities deal with unfunded mandates that we all receive in the realm of water, both wastewater and water treatment and drinking water. The new law requires EPA to forge a new direction on how it implements clean water goals and allows any city in the nation who is facing costly unfunded mandates to work with the EPA and their state to develop a plan that can sequence the necessary fixes and do that in an affordable way. In the past, EPA has sought to force cities to develop sewer overflow and stormwater controls and treatment methodologies that have proven not only to be costly, but often very, very difficult for poor and middle-income families to afford in our communities. They were applying arbitrary criteria to cities, and those are now being challenged. The new direction for EPA involves allowing cities to establish integrated plans that allow for flexibility, longer timetables for compliance. In fact, EPA is required to inform cities that an integrated planning permit is available if the city wants to pursue it. It also establishes the Office of Municipal Ombudsman, who is responsible for educating cities on what financial resources are available and where there are discrepancies between the cities and their regional EPA offices. It also requires EPA to honor green infrastructure solutions to compliance. I encourage you as the chief executives of your communities to truly learn about this opportunity.
to dig into the opportunities it represents for you and to engage with your state permitting agencies. I have been working the last couple of weeks with Ohio EPA leadership, and we intend to and are asking the state of Ohio to step up and stand with and support every application from an Ohio city that wants to pursue an integrated plan. We are convinced, and it's been our experience in Lima, that this represents a real solution for managing the kinds of obligations that we have by law, but doing it in a way that's affordable to you, your constituents, and the businesses that make up your communities. As a last word, I just want to comment. Yesterday morning we saw that terrific display of the benefits of membership in this organization. To me, for my community, this outcome of 10 years of work is a very significant benefit of being a part of this team. Truly, the resources from Tom Cochran, the staff of Judy Sheehan, Rich Anderson, and all of those who make the Conference of Mayors work on a day-to-day basis, the continued dedication and the perseverance to pursue this, regardless of who was saying no, mattered and ultimately delivered for us a real solution to dealing with these issues in our communities. So I want to thank all of them, and I want to encourage all of you to learn more about this opportunity and to make it happen in your communities. Thank you.
Thank you again, Mayor Berger, for your leadership. I'm very pleased to now introduce a past president of this organization. Mark Mayoral was mayor of New Orleans for 8 years and led our organization during the crisis of 9/11 and the subsequent time when we worked with the newly formed Department of Homeland Security. Since leaving office, Mark has been president and CEO of the National Urban League, working closely with us on priorities like sentencing reform, job creation, and so much more. Please welcome home Mark Mayoral.
Thank you very much, Mayor Benjamin. And I know you all are busy. You've got a lot to do, so I'm going to be as brief as possible. But I do want to thank Steve Benjamin for his great leadership. Before he was the mayor of Columbia, he served as chair of the board of our Urban League affiliate in Columbia, the Columbia Urban League, so I count him as one of us. I certainly want to say how much I appreciate the work of Tom Cochran and the staff. And I want to give a shout out to Mayor LaToya Cantrell, the brand new mayor of my beloved hometown of New Orleans, who's attending her first U.S. Conference of Mayors winter meeting. And I want to congratulate all the new mayors, the veteran mayors, and I want to let mayors know there is life after City Hall. In fact, for those of you who are looking for work, I have a solicitation out along with Mayor Cantrell. We are looking for a special prosecutor. And that special prosecutor is to investigate the outrageous officiating in the Saints-Rams game that took place in New Orleans this past Sunday. Yeah, I'll congratulate the Rams, but the Saints were robbed. So if you want to conduct an investigation of the officiating team, come see me afterwards. I just have 3 things to share with you. And every mayor keeps a special list on their desk or in their phone, which are those things that you have to pay close attention to. And I want to recommend 3 things. The Opportunity Zone program that Secretary Mnuchin talked about is a great opportunity for America's cities. In fact, it was an independent piece of legislation authored by Senator Cory Booker, the former mayor of Newark, and Senator Tim Scott, which found its way in to the tax cut bill. And while it has great potential to provide private investment in distressed areas, there is great potential for abuse. And that abuse is that it becomes an engine of gentrification. Mayors have to use their powers, zoning, additional, if you will, incentives, and leadership to ensure that this private capital is not a tool of displacement, but a tool of true redevelopment in America's urban communities. And the legislation passed, we don't know until all of the rules are published whether those protections are going to be included in the federal rules. Notwithstanding that, every mayor should empower a working group or a task force to sort of ensure how these private dollars that people are going to want to invest in your community are adequately deployed. It's not to say no, because it's an incredible opportunity. It's to ensure that it is done the right way. Put that on your list. Second, every mayor should put on their list the 2020 census. The census of 2010, which was one of the most successful censuses in modern American history, still had a substantial undercount. An undercount of children, an undercount of urban residents. I urge you to take leadership to mobilize your community to get out the count. This year, the 2020 census will have an online option. It may have a phone option, in addition to the traditional paper option and the enumerator option, which is a census taker coming to your door. It is so important to programs like CDBG, workforce investment, that we get a complete count of America's urban communities. Put that on your bucket list. The third thing, or on your special list, the third thing is to recognize that the housing crisis of affordability that is driving up homelessness rates in all of our cities is because we have not had a coherent, comprehensive housing strategy in this country since the end of the recession. It simply has not existed. That does not mean that every city can't promulgate, put together with public, private, and nonprofit players its own affordable housing strategy. We have not built the number of units on an annual basis since the recession that the country was building prior to the recession, and this issue is affecting the quality of life. There's homelessness, there's gentrification, there are a whole host of challenges. Please address that. The final thing is, let me offer a challenge. It's positive that we see mayors and former mayors stepping up to offer themselves for President of the United States. It's my hope that what that means is that the issues of local communities, the issues of urban residents, are going to be front and center in the discussion and in the debate. These candidates are going to visit you for your support. They're going to ask for your counsel and advice. And I'm going to encourage you and encourage the Conference of Mayors to have a comprehensive, if you will, agenda that we want these candidates to address so that this upcoming race does not turn into a superficial food fight, a name-calling contest, just about personalities, but that it really confronts the issues that we face. America's cities are the future of America in the 21st century. And while we talk about things like diversity, it is diversity that has made America's cities great since their inception. So I appeal to you to use your voice individually and collectively on these very important issues. It's been a long luncheon. It's been a great afternoon. I thank you for your patience and your time, and I'll turn it over to Mayor Benjamin to adjourn this luncheon. Thank you.
And in the spirit of a good former president of this organization, I think he just adjourned the meeting. But I think Mayor Cantrell knows that we've had 4 mayors of New Orleans as president of this organization, two Mayorals and 2 Landrys. So I'm not sure what the plan is for Mayor Cantrell. But thank you, Mark. This session is indeed adjourned.
Said the fight to make ends meet.